Hello, welcome to one of the end of your videos. The one where I talk about the most surprising books that I've read this year, based off of genre, both good and bad. Right? I have two dogs in my room, so if you hear them in the background, specifically Ivy right now moving on the floor right next to me. Her nose is underneath the dresser right now. It's very cute. Babies. Anyways, I am pretty sure this is the same dress I wore last year for the same video, and whatnot. But yes, that's the thing. The genres I did this time are different because there were not enough sci-fis, right? I think only one of these is a reread just because I read a lot of classics, but none of them are bad except for one. And that one happened to be a reread. So yeah, there's different genres, the ones that I added. I extended it, like there's different types of fantasies. There's also 3 different types of romances. There's reasons. Right? As well as a whole extra section, which is, the ones where Fish Bestie H, who, by the way, have I mentioned, made this thumbnail, is making most of my thumbnails. Okay? I think everyone can tell which ones are me and which ones are them. But there's also a category that is books they told me to read based off of their enjoyment of it, not the ones for vlogs that they told me to read. Well, sometimes yes, because sometimes they tell me to read books that in vlogs that they also read and really enjoyed. But specifically ones they read and said I would enjoy, right? And I should read. That's that category. Do I have to count the genres now? Yes. Okay, there's like 12 genres-ish, because there's like the fish category and the AF category, and whatnot. Some of them, one of them has 2 books because I couldn't choose, okay? And then some of them is like the later parts of the series or something like that, right? So, yeah. I think there's another one that has 2 books, but yeah. That's also because they're from the same series. Good times. Now, I do a lot of videos between this channel and the podcast, so there's not, for the up above in the cards thing, you can only have 5. So I'm gonna have the whole entire podcast YouTube channel up there, but specifically for like specific videos I mention, I will put them in a list down below in the description, okay, instead. In order, probably, if I remember. There's also a thing where like, there's the finishing series vlogs, and the weekend reading vlogs, that different ones are mentioned, and so I'll put the playlist up above. But the specific videos for those specific books will be also below, blah, 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 blah. As soon as I take a break for water, because oh my god. I'm going to try to do this fast because my iPad has 43% battery and it's sitting right there, so let's go. The first one, it's gonna go by genre and then good and then bad. First genre, I have the YA fantasy. First, it is This Poison Heart, which is for the for June. I did a vlog where I did number generator randomly picks my TBR, right, from like all of my gay books on my TBR. It picked this one. It was so good. 4 stars. Really liked it. Gotta read the next one ASAP, right? Because it's only duology. Makes sense for me to read it soon. Right? All that fun stuff. But I really liked it. The fantasy aspect was very fun. I liked all the plant stuff, and whatnot. Also the weird god things happening at the end. Oof, good times. On the other spectrum, surprisingly bad. I put down specifically for 5 Dark Fates, which I DNF'd, for finishing the 3 Dark Crown series. But honestly, all 4 of the books that I read in that vlog. I've read, I think, 2. And then I DNF'd the last one. And also DNF'd a novella when I tried to get into it some more by reading a novella that I thought I would enjoy, but it was not what I was expecting. It was not good. Yeah, no, it really went downhill for me. I heard that. Someone told me that when I read the first one in a separate vlog last year. That the rest of the series is not as good. But I was like, it's probably gonna be fine. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, it went downhill very fast. I think the 2 that I did finish this year, I rated 3 stars, but like, it was not it. It did not reach the point that I wanted. It could have gone places. And there were like, I noticed this about the author's other books that I've read, where she's got like a hint of darkness in there and like dark themes, but then like doesn't go into it. It's just like, hey, here's a glimpse of this darkness. Also, like all the other stuff like romance happening over here, have fun. And so like you're distracted by the romantic plot lines are more important to her, it feels like, than the dark horror aspects or dark fantasy aspects that I'm more intrigued about. So it just right, that's what happened. Then we have adult fantasy, different section. For the good side, we have a book I read in the Arthurian retellings vlog. Surprisingly, I mean, it's not bloodmarked. You should know that, because we all knew I was gonna love bloodmarked. This one was not expected. I feel like if I were to reread it, I would rate it 5 stars or 4.5, but I rated it 4 stars. It was so good. I was not expecting to love this, right? But the way that there's some like weird time stuff, kind of, because I think she's like an oracle and whatnot. And there's also like politics, and there's destiny and what destiny means, and fate, and choosing which fate, and blah 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 blah. It was so well written. I can't remember if I actually cried or almost cried, but it was so good. And I was not expecting it. I was expecting like a 3 star, like a good time. And it did this to me. In a similar vein to the YA fantasy, we have the later books in series. Specifically books 2 and 3, or no, it's a novella. No, it's books 3 and the novella, right? But sometimes they're labeled as 3 and 4. It's confusing. For the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa, another fishing series vlog. The middle one, the one that's like a novella but sometimes labeled as number 3, I rated 3 stars, I believe. And then the last book in the series, I rated 2.5 stars. It was such a letdown. They hyped up so much with like her embracing her siren abilities. So you thought it was gonna be an important thing, and like technically she did use her siren abilities at the end to defeat a bad guy, but like honestly, how did she do, like, literally the bad guy's a god, and she drowned him with her siren abilities by using soul water? Right? It makes no sense. Also, you are literally in the Badlands of magic, where magic is basically impossible, and you're waiting for a bad guy to come and meet with you, and so you decide in the middle of this desert to bang? Makes no sense. Also, 100% guess that, not Reese, nope, Des, that's his name. When he died, he didn't actually die. Guess that immediately. Yeah, it was not good. Especially compared to the first one. The first one, up until the point where she is kidnapped at the very end, near the end, like that last 10%-ish, if you erase that, then it's a great book and I love it. If you ignore the kind of racism. I've heard the complaints about the racism. I understand. So, you know, yeah, it's no, it's no, right? We have different sectors of romance. Here's the thing. All 3 of the ones that are good on the romance, section are gay. So, but the bads are not gay. So technically the gay AF one, the bad one, is a romance, I guess. I don't know. But the good one is not a romance. Because I read so many gay romances this year, okay? For contemporary romance, we have #junkie. I talk about it in my favorites of the year. It is so good. It is a they are race car people romance, where one of them is kind of like the mentor of the other one, or not mentor, but like manager, there we go, manager of the one who does the racing, but they both like racing. It's very much of like, they are both straight presenting people. If you were to look at them, you would assume they are straight, right? But they also are both kind of like fruity for the other one. And so when one of them realizes, hey, you went to this gay bar, I saw you at this gay bar, are you like kind of fruity? And he's all like, yeah, but I'm not sure, but like I've been thinking that maybe I am, so I went to see if I would be into men at this bar or something like that, right? Valid. And so his friend's like, okay, well, you can see if you're gay with me. And then they gay together. It's beautiful. I love it. I think about it on a regular basis. This was another one for the gay June number generator vlog. So I'll only link it once below. Love that for me. And then on the bad spectrum, I feel so bad. I read that one 5 stars, by the way. On the bad spectrum, it's The Spanish Love Deception, which I read like last month. in November for the weekend reading vlog because my jar hates me. I heard such great things. Hear me out. The first 100 pages, I fucking despised that book. The only reason I was able to get past that 100 pages is because I picked up the audiobook and I dual listened to it at like 4 times speed. That is the only fucking reason, okay? I did not like their character. I didn't like his character and the way that he treats her. Especially since like it's supposed to be like viewed as us as the reader and through from him at the same time, that like her reactions to things are over the top because she crazy Latina woman or something like that, angry woman, blah, 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 who's not white, blah 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 blah. But like, I think her family's from Spain, I don't remember, but like, and hear me out, no, she's in the right. This man literally overhears her conversation. He's like, actually, I'll come with you, I'll do this with you, and literally forces her into saying yes. Like, won't take no for an answer. Now, once we get out of the workplace aspect and into the actual dumb fake dating aspect, it was good. I had a good time. I liked it. And then the last 50% or 50%, 50 pages where they have to go back to the office and they're like officially dating, but then there's some other stuff that happens, and also there's like some misogyny and also some possible racism with one of the coworkers. There's some very heavy sexual harassment. Yep. And it was not as good as well. So I gave it 2.5 stars. I was hoping for such good times. Yeah, you know, and it was just a letdown. Okay, next one is the historical romances, right? Again, Gay Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen, I think is the full title. It's very long, so I only wrote like half of it down. This one was a wild one. I picked up out of the freaking blue from Libby, and it was so good. It is a book where you learn a lot about both the characters' past, and also their current lives, their families, how they think about things. So when the music communication happens, it makes sense. It makes sense why one of them says the things that they say and why the other one hears it the way they hear it, because of the way they think and the way that their lives have been, and whatnot. There is one scene in the very beginning where, so one of them is on like trial, stating some things that he saw, and whatnot, and like the other guy who's his love interest, who like they've previously had a sexual relationship, is technically kind of like the mafia boss of the family of what he saw, right? Right? And I think it's his sister that he's like sending to jail, possibly. So he has to blackmail him with the knowledge that he's gay. It's very dramatic. There's like multiple things like that where it gets so dramatic for no reason. But I very much like the character writing and the character growth in the book. It was so good. 5 stars. I was expecting nothing, and it was so good. It was so good, okay? And then on the bad spectrum, The Duke and I rated 2 stars. I heard, okay, I was expecting, because of the thing, if you know the thing, you know the thing, that Daphne does. So I was not expecting to like it. I was mainly reading it just so I could move on to the Viscount Who Loves Me. We'll talk about it. So I read it. Another thing, like on top of the thing that happens, the fact that Daphne basically is not a character. She's not a person. She has no personality or thoughts. She's just there. She's just attractive, the end. Which is one thing they changed in the show that I really appreciate. And then I really love season 2 of Bridgerton. Okay, so I was like, hell yeah, the Viscount Who Loved Me. I've heard that's different than the show. But I was like, I'll pick it up. I DNF'd it. Because it wasn't giving me, hot tension or anything like that. Like, you know, like the show. Like, you know, the library scene, I think it was supposed to be the same scene. But instead of, like, hot, it was giving me, oh my god, this man's gonna kill her. Like, his hand around her throat, pushing her around, grabbing onto her so hard that she is like, ow, you're hurting me. And he's like, oh, are you, like, You shouldn't be afraid of me. I don't want to hurt you and stuff. And as he's like literally leaving bruises and her arm hurting her. Not hot. So I DNF'd the whole series. I moved on with my life. I was very sad because like I thought it was gonna be good. Okay, right? Like, yeah. Bella, what are you doing? You better not go into my trash. I swear to God. I mean, she's going downstairs. Next one is erotica. Good side. We have Neon Gods. I read it in one of the weekly reading vlogs I did in January. Instead of trying to find the specific one, I think there may be, yeah, there is another one that I read during the same 4 weeks, 4 videos. So I'm just gonna put the playlist there instead, because I think it may be over separate episodes, or videos. But it was a wild time. I read in like 4 days 3 different Katie Roberts because of this book. Oh my God, can you hear Bella downstairs going up and down my sister's bed? Oh my God. Okay, apparently I was also gonna go downstairs. I'm being left on my own. But it was so good. I wasn't expecting anything. I've read 2 Katie Roberts before that. Imagine. I think I read like 10 Katie Roberts this year. But before that, I had only read Desperate Measures, which I found fine. I liked it. It was pretty good. And the Dragon's Bride, the Dragon's Bride one, which wild times. One day for the podcast, I will do it. But I was expecting a similar vibe. No, this was wild and it was so good. It was so good. It was so crazy. There was like kind of like a fake dating thing, but like fake relation. Like they were definitely having sex in public at times, but like faking their relationship to make it look a certain way, blah 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 blah. But then like he also like cares for her, and she never had that before, and like it's so beautiful, and I'm so big, and I rated it 5 stars, and we don't need to talk about it. It's fine. On the bad spectrum, the way I was like, what am I gonna do for the bad one? And then I remembered about this book. I blocked it out of my brain, except for the honey scene. I cannot forget the honey scene. I literally still am traumatized by the honey scene. It is Primal by Jenica Snow, which was for a podcast episode. I rated it 1 star. This is the one book this year I've rated 1 star. For those who do not know, I don't rate book 1 star. I think the last book before this one that I rated 1 star was a cowboy holiday romance last year that was racist and fatphobic and sexist and everything under the book, okay? If that tells you anything. This is Goldilocks and the Three Bears reverse harem. That's all I knew about it, so I was like, oh, it's gonna be a fun time. I remember being in physical pain. It was not good. The honey scene. Just listen to the podcast, because like the honey scene. But yeah, it was not good. I hated 1 star. I moved on with my life. And then the gay AF, again, the good one is not gonna be grown. What's the bad one is? The good one is A Prayer for the Crown Shy, which I rated 4 stars. It is a sequel. I almost did the Dead of the Dark, something like that. But this one was more of a surprise to me, because I read the first one and I liked it. I think I rated it 3 or 3.5 stars, right? It was good. I liked it. But this one is more, just them traveling through the world and just seeing this whole world, which is more of the aspect that I liked in the first one. Learning about this world in general, very much like the robot in that way. And meeting new people and how they interact with different people in different communities and whatnot. Very good. The main character is, I believe, non-binary. I think they use they them pronouns. I know they use they them pronouns, but I think they're non-binary. There's also like a whole thing with them having relations with people of every spectrum of the gender. So like, yeah, it's a good time, and the friendship with the robot is spectacular. It's good. Really liked it. Which was very surprising because like the first one, it was good, but I was in love with it, and then I was like, well, I might as well read the second one. They're like under 200 pages or something like that, and there's only 2 books in the series. Like, it makes sense to pick up the second one, and then for me to love it, like, come on. For bad. Right, it was for the pink reading vlog. Did I read for the Crown Shy? I may have read it for a 24-hour reading vlog. I don't remember. I've read so many books. Okay. This was Pink reading vlog. Bestie, the fish told me that they DNF'd it. And I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. Like, time travel, I love time travel. And gays, lesbians, I love them. And we love sex. And then I very quickly really started hating the main character in this. And so instead, I went to look up reviews, to learn what happens, to see, like, I went to look up reviews to see what people thought of it. And then I saw the things where, her, minimizing other people's trauma. Also, public sex on a train in front of other people. I'm not here for either one of those, so I decided to DNF at that point. It's, I like, Red, White, and Royal Blue, so good. What happened with this? I haven't read her other book. I don't even remember it's the one where she's holding a pink envelope, right? On the cover. I've heard some people really like this, but it was not for me. The main character, I hated her. I despised her. And being able to have to spend the whole book in her head, it's not worth it to then get that stuff happening. So yeah, I DNF'd it. I don't remember at what percent. You can watch the vlog to figure that out. But, yeah, I literally took it off my unhauled shelf, or pile, just to film this, and it's gonna go right back on. Okay, I just realized I can throw the books on my bed now because the dog's not lying. Yay! Nonfiction, I should just say true crime. Because, I was going through all the nonfictions I read so far. I think I've read 9. And, the ones that were most surprising, both bad and good, were true crimes. Okay, the first one is American Predator. I don't remember the full title, it's very long. I rated it 4 stars. That's a good one. The point of it is about a serial killer that no one really knows about, despite the fact that, like, he did some stuff. He did a lot. He was, like, a very big deal. Very much could have been a Dahmer, right? In the popular type thing. Especially the way that he was so intelligent, the way he did things, and the way that she wrote it, was, like, because, like, his whole thing when he was telling the police everything, he told the stories of him killing the people in such a way, because he preferred their deaths or something like that, right? And all this stuff. He would, like, start at the end or something like that because he preferred their deaths and work backwards. And so she, the way she wrote it is to basically say, fuck you to this serial killer, and end it with him dying, right? You know that he dies and all this stuff. It's good. I don't think I did a good job to explain how she wrote it in a way that made it enjoyable to read, and also say fuck you to this very bad guy. But she did. In another vein, the bad blood was inside the mind of Jeffrey Dahmer, which I rated 2 stars. Which, there's so much. I read both of these for the same book club, and I don't even know how to go into how much like, the way it was rated was so weird. There was, like, to describe the way that Jeffrey Dahmer became the way he became, cake was used. And then, like, it went into this whole tangent at one point, about how psychiatrists or psychologists are put on the stand, and how the people who do that are just doing it for money, says the guy who's writing this book, right? And all this stuff, and, how much money, not putting them in jail or on death row properly, and instead putting them in an institute. How, like, then them escaping or being released and then committing those crimes again, and then having to do catching them again. Like, it was an interesting idea of, like, the amount of money and effort to do that, and why, like, the idea of how the legal system should change, and whatnot, to make it so, like, yeah, they're crazy, but, like, they did bad things, like, clearly they are not right in the head, but, like, this whole idea of were they right in the head and whatnot, did they know what they were doing type of stuff, and how these serial killers are, like, not ending up in proper security prisons or being released too early and all this stuff. Like, that whole idea was interesting, but it was, like, brought up and then instantly dropped, and it made no sense for the point that I was in, and it was not well written. The audiobook was fine. Did I laugh the way that he described Jeffrey Dahmer being killed? Yes. And that's because the way he described it. It's not my fault. But, yeah, onto classics. I think at this point I've also read 9, of those. The one most surprising, War and Peace. Wild. I fucking know. With the time, I did it via audiobook. I was like, I want to listen to an audiobook every day. And then with 2 times speed, I should finish it by the end of the month. And then I got to the point where, like, I listened to, like, the last, like, I don't want to say 10%, so, like, a good chunk of the book, because it's long. It's very long. In, like, one afternoon, because it was so good. I liked it so much. The way he writes the characters, so good. I wish I owned it physically. I really do. But I really liked it. There's so many characters, and so, like, how they're all connected and whatnot is very complicated. But I didn't have issues with that. I was able to mentally connect them all without having to, like, write down a character map or anything. I was able to do it in my brain by myself. And I'm very proud of myself for that, because it's so freaking long. And there's so many characters, and they're all super connected. But yeah, it was good. I rated it 4.5 stars. It was so wild. And then the only one that's a reread on this, because every classic I've read this year, I think it was a 4-star or higher. Other than The Great Gatsby. I read it in high school. I think we all had to, right? And I decided to reread it, just to see if it wasn't as good as, like, if I still dislike it, right? Because I didn't like it then. I think the reason why is because there's, like, a bunch of remixes have different races for characters or different gender identities. I know there's a queer Pride and Prejudice coming out next year by an author that I read earlier this year and I really liked. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I read, I don't know if it's the same series, but I read a gay Romeo and Juliet, right? This year. And, like, it's good. I like them, and I know there's a Great Gatsby one that, like, I want to read them all, like, right? So I decided to reread the Great Gatsby before I did that. I didn't even read that one yet. For that purpose. And I didn't like it. It was still really bad. 2 stars. Okay, next up is mystery / thrillers. God, this is so surprising, honestly. Like, I have another book by the author on my unhaul pile. Like, that's so surprising. This was for, Bestie Fish picking out physical books from my TBR. There was a few where they picked, books from my TBR for me to read randomly. There was one where they were just gay. There was just random ones. There was one where they just randomly picked random books. That's also on the list coming up. But this one was, physical books only from my TBR, 3 of them. This is 1 of 3. Honestly, I could have also put one of the other ones on this list as mystery thriller, because Gone Girl, the way the characters are, I wouldn't normally like a book, with so unlikable characters, but the way she wrote it, I liked it. But Daisy Darker won. Because I've lowered my rating for the other Alice Finney's that I've read. Rock, Paper, Scissors, I think is now a 2. And then Good Bad Girl, I think is now a 3.5 or a 3. Right? And they're fine. I don't like them. I usually don't like the way she writes characters. That's my issue. Right? And I thought that was going to be the same issue this one. When I told Bestie that, and then they picked this book anyways, I was like, fuck you. Right? So you know, when you go into this, that the grandma's the first person who dies in this family. It's like this whole family reunion for the grandmother's birthday on this island where basically once the tide rises at a certain point, you can't leave, and whatnot. So she, you know, grandma's the first one to die, and you know it's at midnight, right, on her birthday. So, the chapters, I don't know if I can try to find one, are, tell you, like, the time or the year if it's flashback, but the time and whatnot. So, like, I could very easily figure out what chapter grandma's dying at. So I was like, I just want to get to that chapter, read that chapter, and maybe the next chapter, and we'll see if I DNF it, right? Right? Bessie, even at one point, I think, told me to DNF it. And then around that point, I decided to dual read it on audiobook because one of my Goodreads friends said the audiobook was really good. So I picked up the audiobook, dual read it in one day. Same day that I finished the next physical book on this list, cough cough, for the same vlog, hilariously. But I read this bitch and I was very interested in the revelations that happened throughout the book, but also like finding out who the killer was. I was like, have I figured it out? No. No. Because the revelation at the end where everything comes full circle, and then remembering things that happened throughout the book that connect to that, with like her typing boo in his computer and whatnot. Heckin' wildin'. 4.5 stars. I had such a good time. I was trying not to scream because it was 11 p.m. And so I was messaging Bessie like, oh my god, what the fuck? Oh my god, you have to read this. And they were very upset because they thought I was gonna send it to them if I didn't like it. And then because it definitely gave me them vibes. But then I liked it, so I'm keeping it. And I'm going to reread it. I don't know when, but I definitely think a reread will up it to 5 stars. That's the type of vibe I'm getting, which is great because I've heard a lot of people dislike this one. And then on the bad, we have The Last House on the Street. I think I rated 2.75. May lower it to a 2.5 or a 2. Listen, here's the thing. Most of the book I liked. I read it for a book club. Same one that I read the True Crime Street, right? And most of the people disliked the cat POV stuff and whatnot. I didn't mind it until after the fact where you learn all the revelation stuff. And then I'm like, wait, how does that make sense? How did all that stuff happen, right? I can't click in my brain, bestie. It doesn't make sense. Makes no sense. The revelation of, not even who the killer is. Because, like, there's this, like, girl trying to, like, track, like, watching him, stalking him, being like, he's the secret killer. And then there's, like, also, like, all this other stuff, and you think that he is the killer the whole time. But no, he's not the killer. He has, the ID, I think it is. He has multiple personalities, right? I thought we as a community had stopped sensationalizing that disorder, that mental, as like after the Split movie. Like, I thought we all recognized that Split is, yes, a good movie, but like we shouldn't sensationalize. I can't speak words. We shouldn't say, hey, all these people are evil type with this thing. Like, yeah, I thought we as a community had figured that out and decided not to do that. And then this book came out, and it, 1, did it, and 2, not in a good way. And most of the people in the book club I saw who enjoyed it were the kinds who didn't know this was a thing. Didn't know disorder was a thing. So, I'm saying disorder because it's DID, and the last D is disorder, right? I'm pretty sure. And whatnot. So, yeah, that's why it was a letdown. Also, like, the way that technically he is the cat, so how is the cat doing things if he's asleep? But also, like, it makes no sense how the cat is able to do things and he's doing things, like, right? Good times. Horrors. We have 2 on this one, and they're not from the same series. And there's a reason why. One of them, I have to give an honorable mention, and that's Dread Nation. I read it in a weekend reading vlog, and then I also read the sequel in another bonus vlog, right? Which, okay, so like, the reasoning why is because both of these books have both that one and then the one that actually is 172 Hours on the Moon, but like, I have to give Dread Nation an honorable mention. Both of them have this whole thing where there is like monstrous creatures. This one is weird doppelganger creatures on the moon. That one is zombies. But that one is very much like, yeah, there's zombies and all the zombie stuff, but the true horror is horror of humanity and what humanity does and whatnot. And it was really good. I rated, I think, both of them 4.5 stars. So good, so good. This one though was more surprising because I was like, I heard good things about it. I thought I was gonna like it. I did. This one, I don't know what I was expecting. I was holding this off. I didn't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting great things. I was expecting like a 3-star, maybe a 4. It got 5 stars, bitches. It's so good. There's a whole thing where NASA going back to the moon. There's I already brought up doppelgangers on the moon. There's weird things. There's footprints on the moon that don't make sense. There's also like one of the main characters, Mia, is looking through a window and she thinks the window is her reflection. But it's not her reflection, it's her doppelganger. And when she realizes that, whoop, the shivers that got down my spine in that scene. I cried at one point because I was freaking out. It was so good. Okay, and I'm sending it to the fish. The real life Bessie gave it to me, and said I can give it to the fish. So I'm giving it to the fish because it's also mixed media. There's like photographs and like blacked out text and things. also there's like the last page is like a log thing that I'm trying to find. There we go. Also the ending, why would he do that to me? Painful. On the surprisingly bad, I had it written down as the Molly Southbourne trilogy, right? Because the first one was like pretty good, but like the third one really just ruined the whole entire plot and the lore of the first one and the second one, really. And whatnot. There's like a whole entire podcast episode. I thought I was gonna win, and then I read Bleeding Earth this month for the weekend reading vlog, which is also gonna be a future podcast episode, woo, in June next year. But it is, the main characters are a lesbian sapphic gay couple, right? But the whole thing is that the earth is bleeding. One day the earth just starts bleeding, and then also bone and hair comes up, and it's basically an apocalyptic thing. It's very similar to Dreadation. It's supposed to be a thing of like, yeah, this horrific thing is happening, but also how through this lens of this horrific thing happening, how humanity acts and the horrors of humanity trying to survive through that lens, right? But it's not done well. It's not good. I despise the main character. Listen, watch the vlog if you, for like, it's like not that long. It's like 15 minutes long. If you want to watch me just talk about how much I hate the main character so much, it's just so bad. And the ending makes, like, what the fuck was that ending? I think the whole point is like religion. But no, I don't, just no. Yeah, it was not good. I rated it 2 stars. I'm moving on because I don't want to talk about it. Okay, for the one of books that Fish had me read, told me to read, we have one that is both a podcast episode and also the one where Fish picked 3 books for me to randomly read. And I think the other 2 were very mid and whatnot. But the one that I really enjoyed that became a podcast episode, which I plan to read the sequels to this month, and also those will be future podcast episodes, is Unleash, which is a shifter reverse harem romance where she technically has shifter powers too, but she has to have a romance with a bear, a wolf, a griffin, and a lynx, aka Credence. I am part of the Credence Supremacy. He is the best. Okay, thank you very much. But she has to have a romance with all 4 of them to save the universe from an alpha shifter who wants to kill, like, marry and kill and eat her so that he can get her powers become even more powerful. But, like, if she could choose to use her powers, he can kill her easier and, like, find her easier. And he's, like, all powerful, and she's gotta save the world by sleeping with you 4 guys. Listen, does it sound good? Technically, no. But, like, it is. It's so weird. It's so wild. And you don't expect anything to happen that happens. It's so weird. You're just dropped in. And I rated 4 stars. It was very unexpected, okay?
Hello, so for the bad section for this is Touristic Venom. I totally did not say Punk 57 accidentally. I haven't read that book. It's actually Touristic Venom. So yeah, that's in another group of weekly reading vlogs. I think at the end of those, I decided to DNF it. Took me a long time to decide that. The fish was not happy about that fact. There's also a podcast episode about it. That's pretty long. I think it's like over 2 hours long. But basically the thing is, like, I get why the character I really hated, was so hateable because of the internalized homophobia. I get it. Doesn't mean I enjoyed reading it, okay? So, basically I DNF'd it. And yeah, that's that one.
And then the last section we have is contemporaries. Again, one that Fish had me read, told me to read. I read it in the purple reading vlog. At which point I didn't own it. I then went to put it on my wish list, and it was on sale for like $6 or something. And so I bought it. And it's Starfish. I want to reread it, right? So I can annotate it. It is heartbreaking. It is sad. I rated it 4.5 stars. It was almost on the favorites. If I didn't rate so many 5 stars, it would have been on the favorites. But it's so good. I really liked it. It's very much slice of life about this main character trying to realize who she is as a person while trying to get away from a narcissistic mother and whatnot, and surviving the world. Is very good. Now, the other contemporary, I was going through all the contemporaries I read. And this one is technically a contemporary romance, for the bad section, but like, I don't find it romantic. And this is the Beauty and the Beast that I read in the Beauty and the Beast retelling vlog, which is one where the monster, the Beast, is a guy who was blown up in the war. And that's why he's monstrous, and she's so beautiful. And is that the one? Maybe it's the one where they become, I don't know. I've read multiple of them that are really bad in the same vlog. Something of the type where like a monstrous guy, either personality wise, either way, both of them, he was monstrous personality wise. I would like to know, they both also had the same title, almost exactly. Anyways, he has a monstrous personality one way or another, and they are stuck together, right, in a situation. One way or another, I think there's a possibility of fake dating. I don't remember. I can't tell the two apart. But either way, it was really bad. It was really bad. It was not romantic. It was definitely toxic, verging on abusive. Rated 1.5 stars. So good. And yeah, that's it. That's the last one. I don't know what the rest of the videos for the month are going to be in order and whatnot, so I'm not gonna give them to you whatnot. Good times. Again, all videos linked below, podcast and certain playlists up above the cards. Bestie made the thumbnail, and they are also linked below like normal. And I think that's it. I'm gonna go. This is very long. Editing me's gonna have fun. And I'm gonna go climb into bed because I'm wearing a dress in winter. It's cold. I'm cold. So I'm gonna climb into bed and probably do some editing. Yay. But until the next video.